you are watching or listening to Jade Emerald Green. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and follow so that you are staying connected with the daily content arrivals that are made just for you. Thank you. Good morning, y'all. This is Sunday, July 6, 2025, and you are viewing or listening to the weekly collective tarot and oracle reading on Jade Emerald Green. Alrighty now, we have finally made it to the big format change here over on the channel, and it's not too much of a change as far as like, you know, our stylized, what we do if you're used to it, if this is not your first time watching. So it still be a lot of familiarity with at least part of the format. But we're going to add something new. We're going to have more tarot pulls to look at each day for the week after we go through our weekly analysis. And yeah, we're going to go forward from there. So that way you have something that's in depth every week. I could take my time with you all and then have like quicker daily check-ins. So I'm excited. I hope you are as well. Before we get into it, I just want to kind of go over the transits here for at least for today, and then some of the larger transits going into this coming week. So we're running from a Sunday through Saturday outlook. So for today, Venus is busy, okay? Venus is sextile both Saturn and Neptune, and it's going to approach a trine with Pluto today. We also have the moon going into Sagittarius. So what this all basically means is that we are of sound mind and judgment with consideration of others. We approach things with cautious optimism, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So if you're feeling pretty solid today, it's complementary transits that are happening. That is why. So yeah, enjoy it, make the most of it. I know I am. And yeah, so if this is your first time at the channel, how we go about our readings over here on Jade Emerald Green is that we use the situation, action, outcome spread, but we have expanded and stylized it. So if you stay with me, you'll understand. I work from about 8 decks in addition to, or 8 decks total, because in addition to the tarot read, we have some oracle pulls from various decks in different formats to get a bigger picture as to what's going on. To save time, I do shuffle. And just I have the cards down, so we're gonna go through what this is looking like together. And like I said, since we have now this being our in-depth portion each week, I want to take my time with it. So I hope you enjoy that so that you are the most informed to that. And also I figure I would like to give a quick clarifier, no pun intended, about how I approach my readings. I am not a replacement for your doctor, your lawyer, your pastor, or even your own higher and annoying, okay? All I am is an intuitive assistant, if you will. Think of me as like a Google Translate for your intuition. Now, a lot of us are visual learners, and it's helpful to have imagery to kind of translate the things that our intuition is trying to say to us, but it may not always have the words. Our subconscious or our just higher mind, sometimes we don't always follow our intuition, and so it's just helpful to get an enhanced level of clarity here. But I view this as being of service to you. Alrighty, so with that, let's begin. Alright, so I am turning over the tarot cards first. Okay. interesting read this week. All right. So, how's your week been? Especially if you're living in the U.S. We just celebrated. Some of us really didn't celebrate much at all. But we just all experienced the birthday of our nation. And it comes with very heavy feelings. I think for a lot of us who are more in tune and not caught up in the reverie or drinking the Kool-Aid, that this country is in crisis. Like, imagine having a crisis birthday. Like, you know, it's your birthday and everything's like going wrong, and it's like, how do you want to celebrate? Like, that's. But I mean, especially for those of us who are Black, we don't really, you know, claim 4th of July, you know, as our like Independence Day or our day of like celebrating America per se. Like, we may still get together, we may still eat together, we may still pop some fireworks. For me, it was just about food, family, and fireworks, basically. The 3 F's of the summer, you know? So I found solace in that, and I went to go see my family, some extended family who get together every year at this one park, and I spoke to one of my great aunts who clarified that that had been a tradition for 70 years. So when it comes to like family and family tradition, I think it, you know, like the roots still hold strong here. We, you know, in America, we make the best of what we got, and you know, Black people will make a way out of no way. So in the midst of all this wealth theft, you know, the wealthy are being extremely greedy, and you know, this transfer of wealth in the most regressive way is just causing us to be like, okay, well, you know, we have each other, you know, and how do we make the best of that? And I think ultimately here, when we ask ourselves our, you know, or see our situation card, aka, what the fuck are we doing here? We have the 6 of Pentacles, right? So 6 is about the number 6, giving and receiving. And in the Pentacles, it's generally viewed as like a generous card, that you're encountering either your ability to provide and assist somebody in a material sense, whether it be through assets, whether it be through your labor, whether it be through some, you know, some tangible effort that you're either able to help somebody with. So you're either giving, or somebody or something, some entity is able to assist with you and your needs at this critical time for this week. So our what the fuck are we doing here? Our situation card is for the week telling us, you know, watch what's coming in and what's going out. Be thankful either way. Be thankful if you're in a position of where you're able to share, you know, either what you know or what you have. Be thankful that you are in that position to do so. Okay? Because not everybody can. A lot of people in this world, like, I think of like, because we're in the age of like GoFundMe, right? So a lot of people in this world is like, you know, okay, I have it to give, you know, this person's struggling. But then when you see like so many GoFundMes, and then it's like, okay, well, who else can I help with? Because, you know, not, you know, we can have some disposable income, or we can have some, you know, additional resources, but, you know, sometimes we can't help everybody, right? So it's just like, okay, who do I assist in this critical time? You know, so, and then also like, once again, if we're in the position of where we're able to receive something of external value, also, you know, show appreciation. I think this is the most important thing that we can do in life. Whether we are giving something, receiving something, not able to give something or not able to receive something. Like, always have appreciation. Have appreciation for your blessings. Have appreciation for, your problems. Like, appreciation is essential, I think, because when we go to our, recommended action based off of this situation, aka what the fuck are we supposed to do about it? We have the Six of Cups, okay? So, this is the card of nostalgia. Generally, a good card, but can be challenging, especially in situations where our past can obscure or need to see what has changed in the present, and like if there's a need for redirection, right? And we've talked about that in previous days as this card has come up. But given its position today for this coming week of July 6th, or from today through the 12th, count every single blessing you've had in the present. Like, think about all the great times that you've been able to have in this life, and the people that you're around, like the things that are like most emotionally fulfilling to you, because it's basically, paired with our Six of Pentacles. Like, we're paying it forward, essentially. If you're in a bind at one time and you remember that, then you're able to help somebody else out of a bind. What I'm getting from Spirit is that there is a need to be proactive in our efforts this week. There is a need to make sure that we are taking correct action. When it comes to this concept here of like reciprocity, be proactive in the reciprocity process. Okay? Because at this point, this week, we cannot leave it to chance. Okay? Where's the fuckery? Is in the Wheel of Fortune. If we just take it, leave things to chance for this week, we may be encountering missed opportunities as a result. So don't be afraid to ask for help, especially if you really need it right now. Don't leave things to chance. You never know who can come around and be an assist to you. Be essentially a protective force in the universe, in human form, right? And even like whatever faith you follow, if you feel like there are unseen protective forces, really call on them too. Like, this is on every single level, our spiritual realm, our emotional, mental realm. Like, make sure if you are in need of like services, like mental health is a challenge at any given point in life, right? But especially now, especially with this coming week, because yes, I know I got into this too fast because I didn't go over the rest of the transits for this week, but we'll follow up on that. Thank you for working with me as we deal with this format change, right? So, but yeah, don't leave things to chance. Like, open your motherfucking mouth and just say we need help. Or if you see somebody who you think needs help, just ask them, do you need fucking help? I mean, don't say it like me. Don't be cursing on a motherfucking time like me. Just ask them if they need help, right? But, yeah, we have to resurrect, the original sense of like community, original definition of like community, or fellowship, or friendship, what family means. Like, all these connections, like, we have to resurrect for the sake of our own survival. This government is not in service to its people, even though it would not survive without us. So let's show them how we can do it ourselves. Alrighty, because what happens when we do what the fuck we're supposed to do? Alright? When we're able to pay it forward, it sparks new ideas. We have the Page of Wands, who is representing here that very spark. Okay? Page of Wands represents possibilities. We're opening up the way. We're using fire to clear the path, right? So yes, what are our goals based off of our passions? How are we getting closer to it? And how does engaging in reciprocity, how does helping others help us? Basically, is the question. How does helping others help us? Well, I'll tell you, in this universe, I think we've gone through this before. Unseen virtue brings about visible reward. Unseen virtue brings about visible reward. Like that is always the case. I know there's gonna be motherfuckers who don't appreciate the shit that you do at times, right? Because they're not in a headspace to be able to see outside themselves or see the significance of someone putting forth effort on their behalf, right? But to should not jade you. No pun intended. It shouldn't make you jaded to the point where you don't engage in this process of humanity building, essentially. So be like the Page of Wands, because it's rewarding. Helping others helps you. Now, here's the thing. What the fuckery is an interesting position today. Now, as much as I talk about the higher octane pentacles, if you've been on this channel, you know what I mean. 8 through the King of Pentacles is where you want to be, because that's dealing with the external world, the tangible efforts, the assets, the money, the things that represent energy that you can hold or engage with. You get what I'm saying. The shadow side here, though. Oh, sorry. Yes. So what the fuckery, meaning what happens when we leave things to chance, right? I feel like here, this is indicative of Trump. Okay, for more or less, or in a more general sense, a king who is not utilizing his resources, his assets, his power, his ability. He's not being responsible with it, right? And I feel like this represents greed right now. Like I said, we have to look out for each other. King of Pentacles, when in an exalted position, represents someone who is able to master themselves in the external world. They're able to have the results. They already have the results of making the efforts. They have made it to the other side. They've actualized all of these great goals and dreams that they have had. They've all come to fruition, and now they're at a point of being able to impart their knowledge and wisdom and to others, right? As one who is in a position of power should. But I'm not getting that in this position. What the fuckery is someone who is completely forsaking that for their own selfish purposes, service to self. So yeah, we cannot leave things to chance here. That's why it's the we not me right now. Okay, so it's important to understand. Yeah, energy. Understand the importance of energy. Because ultimately what this is about here, have our Knight of Pentacles, our clarifier. And Knight of Pentacles is dealing with, setting down good roots, taking the time that it would naturally take for things to come about, our goals and dreams, right? So, if we are wanting to have a better society despite what our government's intentions are for us, then we need to show up for each other, and we need to take the time that it takes to build the things that we're not, going to be receiving from the entity that is supposed to be looking after for the people, right? We have to make them realize that without us, they can't even run a country like a business. Okay? So, building good roots here. And then, also going back to what the fuckery for a bit, because yes, what was it? In earlier this year, basically, in the spring, I received some guidance from one of my OGs, right? And part of what we talked about was, seeing how, orange flaky person, Cheeto person is like, or taco, whatever you want to call him. I don't really care. You know who I'm talking about. Is like, the pace at which he is eroding on our civil and human rights, right? And trying to roll back entitlement programs. And just, how his character is in general is just so unflattering, to say the least, right? But this was in context of us discussing, like, I was going through a really difficult breakup. Essentially what had been, what was brought up was like, when I see Cheeto face, on the TV screen, or I hear about what he's doing, it just makes me think about, like, okay, how can I make sure I am even more not like this? You get what I'm saying? Because what Trump is representing is ultimately like the worst qualities within humanity, right? And it's like the worst qualities amplified on an international stage, because what he's doing is affecting not just us here, but everywhere. So it's like, how do we find, our fundamental darkness, right? Our fundamental ignorance, our Trump-like qualities, and if you will, within the individual, and how do we excavate that? How do we transform that poison into medicine, right? And so that's why it's important to, clarify a situation with the Knight of Pentacles, because it's important to, like, always, start by asking, okay, what is my purpose in life? How do I set down good roots? What are the goals that I have to set? What are the ideas that are going to push us forward, right? The passion meeting the groundwork. Okay? Alrighty, y'all. And this is like, none of this, even though I feel like these cards, I'm able to relay this in a certain way. I know it's not easy. I know it's not easy at all, because we're constantly in a balance. This world, this entire life is just a fucking balancing act. We're all seemingly acrobats, walking on a tightrope. So it's important here, as exemplified through our Prism Oracle, our first Oracle pulled here. We have intuition and anxiety. Okay, so I want to start with the anxiety. This shit ain't fucking easy. I mean, that's really all I got to say about it. It's not fucking easy. It's not easy because there's so much uncertainty, and especially as we're approaching Uranus and Gemini this week. Going back to the transits, that actually happens tomorrow, and I think if you've been following any astrologer or just your favorite, astrology website, what frequently comes up about Uranus and Gemini, the last two occurrences of this, generally 14-year periods, that's when World War II happened, and prior to that was Civil War. And so, given our international scale of events, and the likelihood of a potential war, I personally have a insight that it's very possible that, for example, we may have a world war and a civil war at the same fucking time. And if that happens, then, like, that's everything. Like, that shit hitting Fan Plus, like Disney. Okay. So, but, as I was reading on this, I came across a really important thing, that life doesn't stop. Like, even in the midst of fucking war, life keeps fucking going. And that's crazy, right? That's fucking crazy. I think we're already seeing it, like, for those who are in tune with, like, free Palestine, right? Free Congo, right? Free Sudan, right? Like that British performer said, free Europe, free US, right? As we are we are pushing it and making calls for our freedom, and especially freedom from oppression, freedom from genocide, right? Freedom from slavery, freedom from slave labor, right? Like, all of this is like, there's a lot of reasons to be motherfucking anxious in this world, because it's just like this shit keeps going and going and going. We keep thinking that we're making progress, but, you know, these rich folks keep finding a way to be exploitative. I feel like what I have learned is anxiety builds when we don't follow our intuition. Like, so it's like when you're asking yourself, okay, what do I do about this anxiety? What is your first mind? Ask yourself, what is your first mind? How do you combat anxiety? How do we combat anxiety? Like I said, it's through building that mutual aid, that communal world for what it's originally meant to be. Instead of, you know, for status or for image, we can't worry about shit like that. You know, we can only focus in on what our intuition is telling us is the right thing. Yeah. So, if you want to chomp down on this, use more of this. If you want to chomp down on your anxiety, use your first mind. All right? Because, like I said, here, we got for the week, Kurt Cobain is back. Oh, did y'all hear about that? That private investigating company that is, like, attempting to reopen the case of Kurt Cobain based off of what they have, I think they call newfound evidence. That's so crazy, y'all. That's so crazy. And I feel like this is the relevance. Like, it's just like, there's such a cycle. I think there's that Six of Cups again, like, you know, like revisiting old memories, you know. But with Kurt Cobain, we have live your life. Like I said, even in the midst of extreme world events, extreme domestic events, extreme personal life events, life keeps fucking going. So how do you make the things that are wrong right while still living your life? Well, like I said, the more we practice on that tightrope, the better we get. Okay, we are all acrobats. We are all walking our tightropes. So the best thing we can do is learn how to master it. Learn how to really work with it and get comfortable with it. You know, knowing that, yeah, you know, may fall, you may, you know, there's a possibility, but like, give yourself a fighting chance and live your life. Okay? Because, like I said, problems don't stop coming around. And I think that's what's the tea here. You know, we have, and with our broken mirrors as well. So starting with what's the tea? Bankrupt, hey, baby. Okay, so I think that in the very literal sense, because the big deadly bill passed, we have an understanding that times are about to get harder for a lot of people. A lot of people are going to start questioning how they're going to make ends meet. How are they going to see the doctor? How are they going to, you know, have these bills covered, especially when it comes to medical expenses, especially when it comes to education. It's like I said, there are no easy answers here. So taking it at face value first, you know, really, the best thing I can say is, like, really tap into either your spiritual practice, or if you don't have one because you're an atheist or agnostic or anything, like, even get into your affirmations. Just tap into your higher self, like, because I know it's easy to get in a scarcity mindset, especially when, like I said, deadly bill passed, right? But if we don't, then there's no way we're going to get ahead of this, right? I think this serves as a warning. I don't necessarily think it's imminent necessarily for everybody. And I don't also necessarily think it's just, you know, merely face value, right? We have to be mindful of things that are making us emotionally bankrupt, draining us, right? Mentally bankrupt, right? Spiritually bankrupt, socially bankrupt. Like, We gotta be aware of our morals. Some people are morally bankrupt, politically bankrupt. We just gotta watch out for anything that is going to be taxing to us, literally, figuratively, all. And especially with the general strike that's coming about, um, you know, people who are the haves, the landlords and bankers, etc., are gonna be pushing back. So this is a struggle here. Like, late stage capitalism is ass. I don't know what else to tell you, but also, you know, I think it's also shining a light on our attitudes. You know, I think late stage capitalism also brings about this whole. It shines a light on like this clout chasing that a lot of people engage in whatever ways that they do, because they want to be seen as a have, not a have not. Or they just generally want to be liked, which is a form of having, social approval, things like that. Okay, Spirit is also telling me that being bankrupt also could be a function of clearing. Perhaps this is also a matter of like, letting go. Letting go and starting the fuck over, okay? I'll leave it at that. With what's the tea? Moving on to broken mirrors, okay? Unknown caller, stalking, hanging up, unknown numbers. Someone may not be all the way there yet. Somebody thinking about you, and maybe y'all not on good terms. Or maybe it's that debt collector. Somebody you're not on good terms with. And direct communication is not outright the answer, so they may attempt roundabout ways. I feel like everyone's been here at one point or another, like, receiving, like, that type of contact. Let it be what it is. Let it pass. Don't answer. Block the number. I don't know. Like, also, it's just, I think often what comes up also in our readings is, like, the fake accounts card, or, like, the snooping card, like, there's a desire for contact. And I think there's just, like, not a way to properly channel that without there being conflict. Save yourself. That's all there really is to it. And perhaps this is, like, it may or may not manifest, but what is coming through for me through Spirit with this is that there's someone that is thinking about you, and they just know that there's not a proper way to reach out. Maybe there's guilt, maybe there's a level of, like, remorse, so yeah, this week just focus on what is for you, what's serving you, as always, right? Let me bring this back real quick here. Okay, our broken mirrors, unknown caller, right? Because our Dark Confessions Oracle, yes. Our Dark Confession Oracle says, no one else makes me feel the way you do, but I'll take it to the grave before I tell you. So somebody's really trying to say this, but they're not actually calling. If they do reach out to you, they're not going to say this. They're still not in the place of being healed. Okay? So that's why you don't need to answer. That's why you don't need to worry. Like, it's not worthy of your time to engage in people who want to return or have access to you, but don't want to do the work that it takes to honor you in themselves. Really? Like, I don't know. Just know your value. Know that you are inherently valued and worthy of love and respect, reciprocity. Don't let this energy bring you down this week, fool. And, like, because that's just, like, inadvertently starting another war. That's that Uranus and Gemini. creeping about here. Oh yes, also. So Thursday, July 10th, we have the buck moon, okay? It is a full moon in Capricorn, okay, baby? So what does that mean for us here? We also, sorry. I have shitty handwriting. Just say that. We're balancing like what access means to us this week. So I think that's also like why it's very important that we discuss the Broken Mirrors card with unknown callers as well as the Dark Confessions Oracle, because this is going to be the theme, especially come the full moon. If you had set your intentions and your goals on the previous new moon, then you'll start to see those things materialize come Thursday. Moving on to our angelic connections, we have, again, you may find yourself inspired to look up at the clouds overhead. There it is, an angel in all its glory watching over you. Okay? We have our angels, okay? That's what I'm saying. Like, why having faith for those who are of mind of any faith is important than ever to like engage, because that's your practice is helping you build your protection. Your practice is helping you engage with the entities that are here for you. Like yesterday I talked to somebody about, believing and seeing, the concept of that. And that person was an atheist. I remember I used to be an atheist. I used to be apathetic. No, I was agnostic, atheist, and then straight up apathetic. Like declaring apathy as your religious practice is crazy work. But I was in high school, rebellious. But I'm so glad that I am so not apathetic. It has given me so many gifts over the course of my lifetime since I started taking my practices very seriously. And has guided me so far in this life, and so I'm very thankful. So I'm gonna continue to look up, and I hope you do too. Look up at the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's your progress in front of you. Okay, so we're going to do the timing oracle here. What questions should we ask here? Alrighty. I want to focus on these Page of Wands and the Knight of Pentacles. Page of Wands, once again, that spark of creativity, those ideas, that new beginning of like, this is the path. I found my path. We are lighting the way. Here we go. And we have the Knight of Pentacles, who's, our grounding energy, right? Our context to, how do we move this forward in a way that we have longevity, right? So, how long will it take for us to form these ideas under the Page of Wands so that we can start setting good roots? It's the Knight of Pentacles. I hope you understand what I'm asking. Like, basically, how long will it take for us to formulate our ideas? Because sometimes we don't always know what we want. Sometimes we don't always know what to do, or what is going to be the best course of action, because we don't know what the resources are looking like, right? And sometimes we become limiting in sometimes we limit ourselves because we think about like what are the tangible goals based off of our limited resources. But if like money were not an object, or time was an object, things like that. Like, what are our organic ideas? When will we come to understand what they are so that we can hit down good roots? Is what we're asking for this week. Because sometimes it may not take that long. Other times, sometimes it may not take that long. Other times it takes more time. But, you know, it does vary upon the individual. However, as a collective, when are we going to formulate our plan of action as to what to do about this nation? International community, when are we going to come together, figure out what we're going to do about our world dynamic, our paradigm, our new world order, whatever you want to call it. Okay. So, there is no more time. The time is now. There is no more time. The time is now. Okay? So, we better get it cracking. Collective. Better get it cracking. There is no more time. Alright. So, now we're going to do our day-by-day play. I'm going to pull 7 cards to represent Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Alrighty. So, and I did already like shuffle to include these questions here. So, today, that's that Venus sextile, Neptune and Saturn, and that trine Pluto, Moon and Sag. We're having a grounded sense of ourselves with the 9 of Cups here. Let's stay that way. We are sun mind. There's a high sense of emotional fulfillment. There's 9 represents completing a cycle here. Let's keep that energy going. Monday, 8 of Cups here. So for the 7th here, that's that Uranus and Gemini. We gotta leave some shit behind, hey? And exploration for better things ahead, right? But there is a challenge that is because, depending on our level of attachment to what we are needing to separate from, whether it's old ideas or things that we have outgrown, essentially, our level of attachment can make this journey easy or can make it a little bit hard. But either way, something is going to need to see the back of our head. All right. Tuesday, the 8th. We are embodying our royal energy through the Empress here. Okay? So, I don't know, enjoy it, I would say. All right. Wednesday, the 9th. Page of Swords. You know I don't like her. Be wary of this. I mean, in the positive aspect, this is where we are skill building. We are doing our research. We are gathering the information that we need, hopefully for our betterment. In its shadow position, it is chatty, patty, gossip oriented, destructive in its novice, youthful energy. So you don't steer clear. Have caution. Thursday, the 10th, full moon here. Yes, like I said, we are assessing what access means for us. Access that other people may have to us, or that we, give more freely than perhaps what we should. In the end, don't cry over spilled milk, please. All right, let this full moon be one that we, look at the 2 cups that are still standing as opposed to the 3 that I've knocked over. They're probably like old emoji anyway. Okay. Friday, the 11th. All right, hold on to what you got, baby. You may need it for a rainy day. 4 of Pentacles for a Friday. That is July 11th. Okay. So yeah, just be mindful. You may need to guard your assets or just guard your ideas, your efforts, your goals. Make sure you are keeping up with that and you're holding on to your purpose. Okay. And for Saturday the 12th, once again, defend what you got. This time it's embodied through the 7 of Wands here. I call it the whack-a-mole card. Know how you're going to be in defense of what you believe in, what you support, what your values are. Okay? What your ideas are. Sorry, my storage got full. So like I was saying, yes, how will this work from here? Each day we'll go through our daily card pools, and then and we'll get a little bit of in-depth analysis, but something that is quick, easy to consume, so that you can go on about your day and then come back on Sundays so that you can get your daily or your weekly in-depth download for the next week ahead. So this has been fun. I have to go do edit for this and posting of this, and then I have to run some long distance errands. So I will see you around, and thank you again for watching the weekly collective tarot and oracle reading on Jade Emerald Green. Ciao, ciao.